Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. Now then, as many of you know, I have not long just bought a BMW E46 Touring for £250. So today I'm going to be going over everything that is wrong with it and go over just a few things that I intend to put right with the car. So without further ado, let's get outside and let's get cracking. Okay then, so we have the E46 Touring here then, and to start off I'm going to start and address the rust. Now I did mention in the first video where I picked this thing up that this thing did have quite a bit of rust on it. Obviously the worst affected areas are going to be on the wheel arches. This is one side, if you probably already saw what the other side is like. This is the worst side, this is the driver's side, and it's not quite flaking off yet, but it's you know, on its way to getting there. So probably will be replacing both of the front wings. You know, there is, you know, a couple more smaller spots as well on the bonnet where there's been some stone chips and whatever else, but it's still very solid. It's not going through or anything. It's just like a few tiny bits on the rear arches. Again, you know, nothing major. It's nothing that will be that will need addressing anytime soon. Tiny little bit on the tailgate. You know, still seems pretty solid though. If I wanted to, I could replace the tailgate, but I think I'm going to leave that for the time being. On this rear arch then we can see there is a little bit of bubbling up, but again, it's nothing major. Now I'll actually show you what the main issue is with this car, you know, why this thing does start but you can't drive it, at least for any real amount of time. So we'll get this thing opened up. We'll go ahead and pop the bonnet. Now then, if you did see the first video, you'll see the current state of the engine bay. So we do of course have the viscous fan missing, the fan shroud, and also both of the drive belts as well. So you have the main drive belt which goes from the crankshaft pulley around the water pump, then the tensioners and the power steering pump, and then you have a smaller one down here which is for the AC compressor, and that just goes to the crankshaft pulley as well. So both of the belts are off. Now the reason that this thing is actually off the road is because, and it's actually a pretty common problem on these engines, on the M47 and the M57, if you take a look at the crankshaft pulley, you'll see it's fairly loose, and if you have a look closely you'll see there is a huge tear in it, and yeah, so essentially the belt was ripped off and chewed up, and I'm sure you're going to be able to see the remnants of the original belt stuck in there as well. So that's what happened, and the drive belt, the main drive belt, kind of got chewed up, and yeah, this crankshaft pulley is shot, so this thing does need replacing. I heard that the crankshaft pulley bolt is quite a bit of a pain to get removed, but I'm sure we'll get it removed somehow. But yeah, essentially that's the main issue with the car, main issue with the engine. Once that is sorted, essentially then it should be able to drive, and obviously the battery can then be charged from the alternator. Now one thing about the engine, about the car in general, is there is no service history. So I don't know, you know, sort of when the oil changes were done, you know, what sort of intervals. Now with this engine, I'm pretty sure BMW recommended every 10,000 miles. In general anyway, I like to change my oil and an oil filter every 5,000 to 6,000 miles, just because it's so cheap, and you know, why wouldn't you do it? You know, you want to prolong the life of your engine. The previous owner did say he had not long had an oil change, and I have checked the oil dipstick. It is at the max mark, which is good, but I will probably go and change the oil and oil filter anyway. I'll probably actually do an oil flush as well. Probably get one of them little cans of an oil flush, just to kind of hopefully break up any carbon deposit that, you know, have formed in the engine, and you know, hopefully give it a new sort of bill of health, because like I said, I don't really know how many oil changes this has had in its life. So a little bit of deferred maintenance is required, I think. I'll more than likely be changing out, you know, all of the other fluids as well. So if we take a look at the coolant, I believe the level is full. Yeah, it's at the max, so that's all good. We have the power steering fluid as well, which does kind of look like there has been maybe either when someone's went to fill this up, you know, they might have leaked it around here, or may be having a leak, but we'll remove this cap anyway. Okay, that actually still looks pretty red, which is obviously, this is automatic transmission fluid, and that actually looks pretty red, so you might actually be okay for that, to be honest. I was expecting it to kind of be a brown black colour, but that looks in pretty good condition, to be honest. Washer fluid, yeah, that's pretty empty. Let's get some washer fluid in there. There we go then, that's that nice and full. Brake fluid, just from looking on the reservoir, I think we're somewhere in the middle between the min and the max. Yep, that's right. Oh, that's another thing as well, the brakes. I think the fronts are kind of okay. There's still a lot of meat left on the discs and on the pads as well. But if we take a look at the rears, we can see the rear discs are pretty shot. You know, there's not much contact area left on there at all, and there's really not much left on the pads. But you know, just for the sake of it, I'll probably do the brakes rear and the front at the same time, and then I'll do a full fluid flush, just because, you know, I'd rather do the whole lot and I know it's done then. And you know, if I don't keep this car for, you know, a long time, at least the future owners will know that it's been done as well. Now then, we'll move on to the interior. And as I mentioned again in the first video, it really just kind of needs a deep clean in here. You know, it kind of looks like it hasn't, you know, had a good decent clean in a long time now. I think this should come up quite nice. I think we need to turn them little tabs to lift up the mats, but yeah, it just kind of looks like it just needs a real deep clean in there. And I'm sure the carpets along with the seats should come up quite nice, because yeah, like I said, you know, there's not too much wear. You know, this car has covered 205,000 miles, so it kind of is expected to have a little bit of wear on the driver's bolster. But yeah, apart from that, relatively good condition in here, especially the rear seats. You know, a few stains and whatnot, but again, this should come up quite nice. I think a major deep clean of the interior is needed, so let me know if you'd like to see a video on that. But yeah, looks pretty good in here, to be honest. One thing I've just noticed is that we are missing a sun visor. Looks like that has been pulled off at one point, so we are going to need to get a replacement one of those. We still have the driver's one, of course, you know, still working. So we've got the mirror and the light, but yeah, we will need to source a new sun visor for the passenger side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put the ignition on then. I'm not going to fire the engine up because obviously we have no drive bar connected, so the battery will just go flat. But yeah, let's see if we have any warning lights. I didn't really pay too much attention to it, but yeah, obviously we have the handbrake light, and then at the top we have the battery light, which is obvious. You know, we're going to have a low battery voltage. The other one is the oil pressure light. Obviously the engine isn't even started, so obviously we're going to have low oil pressure. I'm pretty certain that goes out when we fire up the engine though, so that isn't a concern. Looks like we desperately need diesel. Yeah, I'm going to actually fill it with diesel now, because it's not good to run so low on a diesel engine, because then you'll start introducing air into the system. So let's actually top up with some diesel. Okay, so I actually went ahead and put like 4 of these jugs in, so now we have around 20 litres of diesel in the tank. So that should be like a quarter or a third of a tank. So now then, we can see we have over quarter of a tank, which is good. The fuel light's gone out now. And what I'm actually going to do is I've got ISTA loaded up, and I'm just going to do a scan of the modules just to kind of see what they're saying. I know obviously because we have a low battery voltage, it may kind of give a false reading, and we may actually have more codes than, you know, well, it may appear that we have more codes than what we actually have. But I think it's just a good idea to do anyway, just to kind of see what we're working with when it comes to the modules. But yeah, let's start a test anyway, and then let's see what this says when it loads up. Okay, so we can already see we have some fault codes stored in the fault memory. 21 so far. Like I said though, these may just be codes related to the low battery voltage, so it may not be something to worry about. I'm guessing all these modules that are kind of greyed out, I'm guessing that's because we don't have, like, you know, nav, we don't have, you know, sat nav. So yeah, I'm guessing it's just the coloured ones that we need to pay attention to. Right, so we see 23 in the fault memory. Let's just go ahead and select display fault memory. Okay then, so here we can see our fault codes. So that may be something that needs attention. So we see we have glow plug cylinder 2. That would indicate that we have one faulty glow plug. Usually if it's all of the glow plugs, that means that the actual glow plug module is bad. But yeah, just going down some of these fault codes, I can see a lot of these are just related to the low battery. So ABS, DSC, system voltage below 9 volts, generator, battery voltage, wheel speeds, AUC sensor, that's a very common fault, combi, terminal R, power supply, a lot of anti-trap error codes, but we can see they're all kind of at the same mileage, so that these might all be because of the low battery, we don't know. But yeah, I think we should just go ahead and delete fault memory anyway, and then kind of do another test just to kind of see where we're at. So delete fault memory. Really want to clear error memories. Yes. Yes. And then what we'll do is we'll do another test, and then that should show us our current fault codes then. Okay, so that doesn't look too bad then, does it? So we went from 23 error messages or error codes to only 3 now in the fault memory, and we will take a look at what those are. So we can see we have AUC sensor, AUC heating, and combi data filling difference to central light module. So maybe that means that the light module has been replaced at some point, or maybe the combi's been replaced. I don't think so though, because you usually have a tamper dot after the miles. So I think that's the genuine mileage, to be honest. I mean, I don't see why anyone would you know, put a higher mileage than what it actually is. But yeah, interesting. That's pretty good though, the fact that we only have 3 fault codes now. AUC sensor, very common issue, you know, even common on the E90. I have the same issue on my E87. That's just the AUC sensor in the cabin air filter box. But yeah, that combi fault code, yeah, I don't really know what that is for. But yeah, that's pretty good. We have no engine codes or anything. Obviously when we fire it up next, we may have some error codes come back, so we'll kind of just wait for them. But yeah, that's looking pretty good at the moment, not too bad to be honest. Okay then, so there we go. There's pretty much everything wrong with the BMW E46 Touring project. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please remember to give it a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you have not already done so, and I'll see you all very soon in that next video. Peace!